Good evening and welcome back to Church Unplugged with Shield of Faith. We are so excited that you are joining us for our conversation this evening on motherhood, a little bit of a belated Mother's Day conversation. Before we get started, I would just like to introduce the lovely ladies that I have the honor of speaking with tonight. We have Carla Salazar and Tanya Cummings, both who are amazing ladies and mothers, and I am really looking forward to hearing what they have to say tonight. My name is Jade Ruggarello. I will be your host for this evening's discussion. And as always, please feel free to comment any questions, anything that you'd like to say. We love hearing from you guys, and we'll do our best to respond to any comments that we may get. So, with that said, are you guys ready to get started?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, as I'm sure you know, Mother's Day was a couple weeks ago, but we are speaking on it this evening just because during May we did a little bit of a mental health series with May being Mental Health Month, but we didn't want to negate talking about Mother's Day. We think motherhood is something that's very important, very influential. And so with that, I would just like to begin tonight by asking you ladies to elaborate a little bit about when you became moms. You know, how many children do you have, and just kind of your path to motherhood, if you wouldn't mind.
Not it. I'm just kidding. You go first.
I have two daughters, and I have a daughter that is about to be a senior in college, and then I have a daughter that graduated from college 4 years ago, it's hard to believe, from Texas A&M, Giggle Maggie's, whoop. And then she's actually a special education teacher. And then I do have one baby, which I don't talk about, you know, often, but I do want to touch all parts of motherhood. But I do have a baby that is in heaven that Scott and I had a miscarriage whenever he was in the Marine Corps. And so that would have been our first child. So that was an experience that we had. And then I was blessed to have an amazing mom that is in heaven with the Lord now. And so yeah, that's me and motherhood. So
What about you?
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Like that's important to share, because I know that that's something that I am appreciative. My friends that do infant loss posts, I'm appreciative of that, because people's story and journey begins, you know, in those times, and that is a part of motherhood, and it's a stinky part, but it's important to share, and it's important to like have know that there's people out there that have dealt with it as well. That you're not alone. Thank you for sharing that. I became a mama. I have a 16-year-old son named Caleb, and a 14-year-old daughter named Claudia, and a 13-year-old daughter named Eden. Got y'all's ages right, correct? Yes. Go! Woo! Winning at life. I love them. They're my people. Like, I really do love them big. They let me talk more than anybody else in the universe, and so they're okay with being introvert and my crazy extrovertness. So I appreciate my tribe.
That's the best. And we have some people joining us. Pastor Scott said two great mothers, and he's absolutely right. These are two amazing ladies. Hello, Sister Gail and Brother Lewis. We're so glad you guys are joining us. And like Carla said, I do like that you brought that up because I think it is important, and it's something that I think doesn't have a whole lot of awareness sometimes brought to it. So I think people will really appreciate that. And so kind of with that said, I wanted to ask the both of you, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced, whether it's with parenting, motherhood in general? I'm sure any mom watching knows that motherhood is not always easy. So if you would just like to elaborate on that, I'm sure people would love to hear it.
Yeah, there are so many different challenges that come with motherhood, and I think it's different for different people. I mean, there's some things that we can relate to and say we both experienced it, and then things that I may have never experienced that Carla did, and vice versa. But it is not the same for each child. So even though I'm the mom of two daughters, the way that mothering was with Ashlyn was different than the way that mothering was with Brooke, depending on their personalities. And also not only just their personalities, but the times in our lives. So like Ashlyn being the older one, meaning we were younger and newer in our marriage, having the first child, having the, like, navigating marriage with a child, all of those things changed it and made it different for Brooke because we were more experienced, and there are some things that poor Brooke, you know, didn't get to do because we'd been through that and done that with Ashlyn. And then there's things that, vice versa, that Ashlyn didn't get to do, but we realized, like, oh, that's no big deal. They can do that, and then Brooke got to. So I think that those challenges can change, and from anywhere from, like we were talking about before, from breastfeeding to deciding whether or not they can have a cell phone. I mean, there's just so many, and what age does that happen? There's just so many things that come into play. So.
Well, and I remember, you know, like when you have your kids in your belly and you're like, I just can't wait for you to come out. And by the time, so Caleb and Claudia are 2 years apart. And then Claudia and Eden are 18 months. So 3 kids in 3.5 years. And I legit told Eden, I said, you can stay in there as long as you want, sister. I was like, don't come out.
Yes.
Like, because, you know why? Because my kids were climbers. And my kids were kamikaze, and my kids were they were all over the place, and they were little all at the same time. And I would be nursing Claudia, not kidding, and getting Caleb off of a shelf because he thought he was Spider-Man. And so I thought, this is the only way I can keep you safe, right? Like, I mean, that's really what you would think. You know, most parents are like, or moms, you hear them like, I can't wait I feel like I'm gonna pop.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, girl, stay. I can keep you safe. Because, like, you know, they would, like, grab each other from the crib. And I'm, like, right there. My kids were fast.
Yeah.
I'd be doing one load to the other and, like, desitin. Like, that's it, y'all. One laundry load from, like, washer to dryer and desitin all over the room. Baby powder all over the room. And it wasn't like I was so upset about it. I thought it was hilarious. And I wish that there was video because I think that we would have be like TikTok famous or whatever if there was like that kind of video at the time. But like it went like by like a whirlwind. Like, and those challenges are so different, and things that I think about like then is not stuff that I think about now as a parent. Right? Like different new age, new stage. New age, new stage.
Yeah.
To pray through those stages, y'all.
It is true, and people think, oh, I can't wait till I get to whenever they're in school, or I can't wait till they're in high school. I can't wait to, and it never, sometimes it's even more so, I think. And I don't want to, you know, scare anybody, but like, it's bigger problem.
Yes.
I mean, it really is.
Yes.
And you can't just like feed them and put them to bed and play with them and make it better.
Yes.
Like, it's like legit issues
life.
that
It's
you're,
life.
you're like, you need money. I don't got any money myself. So, you know, it gets very difficult. And
you're like, mow that person's lawn.
do something to get it yourself. I remember a time whenever I was younger and actually newly married, and right after Scott got out of the Marine Corps, and we were struggling financially. And I remember my mom just being like, oh, I just wish that I could help you, but the Lord's tied my hands. He's going to provide. I know he is. So I got to see the Lord work in big ways because Mom and Dad's hands were tied. But I could feel my mom's heart.
Yes.
She truly wanted to just write a check and make it all better, and she couldn't. And I think as moms, a lot of times we're in that place. We just can't make it all better when we really want to, like to fix it. And
even with friendships, broken hearts, like, I mean, just all of the above. Like, if we could just be like, it's fine, we're going to give you something and you'll be fine. Like, we would, but you can't, and that's hard to watch your kids go through pain that you can't either take away or that you can't take yourself. Like, it stinks. Like, and the guilt, you know, like, you're like, oh, if I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like, so yes.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point that you bring up. And I mean, I can't speak, I'm not a mom, but from conversations that I've had, that is something that mothers, I think, feel is guilt, or they feel
all the time
like a bad mom.
Yeah.
Sometimes if they can't, you know, help or in a certain situation with their child. But I think it's also important to realize too that at some point, you know, when a child is growing up, they become their own person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And a mother can do as much as she can to prepare them for certain things. But at the end of the day, once that child is old enough, they kind of make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And ladies, just know, like, we are all different, and we each do the best that we can do with what we have.
Yes.
So if you are a working mom, you are doing everything that you possibly can to be there to provide for your family. And if you're a stay-at-home mom, you are doing everything you can to be there for your family. Like, it doesn't matter what you are doing in your mom role. What matters is that you are loving your children, and that you are teaching them, and you're taking care of yourself, because in taking care of ourselves, we get to be better moms. We get to be better caretakers for them. And so don't look at other people and think, because that is all. I don't care who you are or what you are. I don't care. Don't look at anybody and think that they've got it all together, because no one does, especially when it becomes being a mom. No, like, no one's got it together. Like, whenever you might be like getting to sit poolside with your friends, I may be at home crying in bed, and vice versa. When I'm getting my pool time, we all go through it. We all struggle. We always wonder if we're enough. We hope that we could do more for our kids. It doesn't matter. The richest to the poor, it doesn't matter. We all struggle. I mean, there's not a perfect mom. It's
true.
not.
That's true. Well, and I think, like, when I first, because I had kids before my friends, and they would come to me and they'd be like, I'm bottle feeding my baby and I'm not staying at home, I'm working, because I stay at home and nurse, right? Like, and I'm like, I don't care, like, you do you, boo, like, whatever makes you be the best mom that you can be. And sometimes people need to work, like, for life, you know, like, and sometimes people need to stay at home for life. Like, I don't know if I could have gone to work. I don't know if I could have, like, mentally done it. Like, I don't think I would have been mentally at work. I would have been mentally at wherever my children were, probably looking at them on my phone and, like, watching the camera. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, I would not have been a good employee. Where, like, I think that there's other people that need to, like, be at work so that they, you know, there is some separation in time. So I think it depends on the personality and person. So like,
well, and Scott and I have talked about this with the girls before. Like, one of the, you know, biggest sacrifices, I was able to stay at home with my kids when they were little, but I couldn't look at the families that could go on all these different vacations and do all of that, because we sacrificed financially for me to be able to stay at home. And you can't, you know, if you're working and being able to go and do all of the, you know, the extra curricular activities with your families, vacations and stuff, you can't look at me and go, oh, I just wish I could stay at home. Well, just know that it's a sacrifice both ways. You know, and so you're both, you know, doing whatever you can, and you're kind of win some, you lose some. And that's one of the things I told my girls, like, we didn't get to do those things, but I was able to be there with them. And watch so many amazing moms around me. It's so neat to watch how women are in their families, like what they give to their families and pour out, and watching so many. And my sister-in-law, Nancy, she amazes me, because her weekends are just filled with amazing things that she does with her kids, like things that, even, you know, like, think about, like, Carla, there was times, my kids were older, of course, but that she would get me out to do things, because I was fine just doing my, like, normal, like, go to the mall, do those things. But Carla and my sister, they go anywhere, and every library, and every, like, climb every mountain, go in the pool, do all those different things.
I'm glad that you said that, because I learned to be and do the normal from you. Like, because for me, it's like about the next activity and the next fun thing and the next, you know, like, and so it was nice to have someone that balanced me out a little bit, that could just, you know, like, was good at being a mom and doing the things that they did. Like, you did a lot of momming while you were doing the things that you were doing. And that was important for me to see, because I feel like I have to make everything a thing, you know, like, let's make this, well, and that's what was my, like, detriment as far as being a mom, was I needed to make brushing teeth fun, because it was so boring. And I was like, when God finally was like, Carla, like, I mean, I would pray and, like, cry, y'all. Like, I thought I was the worst parent ever, because brushing teeth and taking baths are not fun. Like, playing with toys is fun. Like, and so my kids, changing diapers is not fun, especially when my children want to wiggle out of every diaper that they could wiggle out of. And when they put poop everywhere and I get nauseous with poop, right? Like, those are not fun things. And then you're like, I get that. Like, and so those parts of being a mom, and my mom was so good and is still so good. I'd be like, pass her the baby to do that work. You know, she's so good. My grandma, because I saw that she commented about her, she learned from her mom. They're good at being like nurturing mamas. Does that make sense? So in my mind, that's what I thought a good mom was, and I was not that. I was like, this is stupid. I don't like to sit and brush your teeth, but you're gonna get lots of cavities. You know what I'm saying? So then when the Lord finally gave me that freedom, just do it your way. So then I was like, chocolate toothpaste, and let's sing
she
a song.
always came up with something
pee-pee
new.
in the potty, pee-pee. We'd go to the bathroom, and like that was made potty training so fun. But if I didn't give myself permission to do that, y'all, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think I can even speak just from a kid's perspective, you know, being and just everything we've been talking about. I think at the end of the day, if you love your kids and that'll show through no matter what, and they're gonna remember that. I can speak for myself that, I mean, I have great memories of road tripping to Colorado to go visit my grandparents, but also some of my best memories are when we're in the backyard running through the sprinklers. You know what I mean? So and I think sometimes parents can put that pressure on yourself, like, I have to make it memorable for my kid. I have to make it da-da-da. But if you're having fun and you're with your kids and you love them and they love you, they're gonna remember it and they're gonna have happy memories.
No,
so I think that's just I just like that y'all brought that up, because I think that's an important point. I want to address a couple of comments. Pastor Scott said Tanya forgot to mention her new baby boy. Their new
basset hound, baby boy, and I do feel new mother tired right now.
Oh, how funny! Potty training puppies is not for the faint of heart.
No,
I'm just saying.
Sister Gail, I hope the volume is a little bit better for you. And Carla, like you said, your mama commented a couple things. She said, a mother's love, no matter how old your kids are, they will always be your baby.
Yes.
Which is very, very true. And
yes, because I make you hold me like a baby. And
we've talked about that, how we're like, and I asked my mom this, you know, before, but how we still feel like kids.
Yes.
And I remember asking my mom a couple of months before she passed away, I'm like, Mom, like, when did you start feeling like you were like an adult?
Never.
And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I just still feel like a kid when I'm around you. And she just giggled, you know, because I never have felt like that, you know. I still felt like a kid. I called my mom to ask her how much I put of this and that, and you know, when should I pay this or when should I do that? And
Mom, is that normal? Like, I always I call her still all the time. Is that normal? Mom, is that normal? She's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, let's Google it.
Now we have Google.
Let's Google it. Let's look it up.
Let's Google it. My kids are like, let's Google it, Mom, before you call Chloe.
Well, and I think too, it doesn't matter what your status is financially. You know, you can. I think about my granny, my mom's mom, and the way that she raised 6 kiddos, and the way she talked about how she ordered them. You know, 3 girls and 3 boys, and the Lord gave them to her. You know, and how. We literally, like, they had such a small house and a small living room, but we could pack, everybody wanted to be their child. And it wasn't because of anything they had monetary. I mean, nothing at all. It was literally just to be in their presence, to hear their stories, to feel their love, because they unconditionally loved people. And I mean, we would pack 50 people literally at Christmas in this small, you know, small living room, and have so much. Those, some of the best memories are just everybody sitting around talking and visiting with one another and being in one another's presence. And that, I think, means a lot, is acknowledging your children and knowing that they may act. And as youth pastors, we try to tell parents and try to tell people in the church all the time, the youth may act like they don't want anything to do with you, but they want your attention. And if you keep trying long enough, they're eventually going to cave, and they're going to just embrace that. And so And that's the same thing with your kids. They may be like, rah. But the second you stop asking them questions, they're going to be like, well, why aren't you asking me any questions? You know, like, were you mad at me? So.
That's very true. Yes, absolutely. Well, and I think too, you know, we touched on this a little bit before, and we were talking a little bit previously before we began that there's so many different types of mothers and ways of mothering. And I mean, there's adoptive parents, there's stepmothers, there's spiritual mothers. And I mean, I'm so incredibly fortunate to have had so many amazing mother figures in my life. I have my amazing mom. Each of these ladies, I mean, they have been amazing. They've watched me grow up. And so I think it's super important where for anyone who may be feeling like if they don't have a biological child or a child of their own, you know, you can be a mother figure to someone else, and you can have that influence in somebody's life.
Absolutely. And just being present, like whatever personality, whoever you are, just being present is a big deal. You know, like, so yes, like I can definitely think of people in my life that I hug like a mama, you know, just willing to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, like absolutely. And I have the best mom. Like, so I think that it's important. I mean, I even think of Sister Neva, like, I mean, she's everybody's mama, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like that is something to definitely do, whether you have 50 kids or you have no kids, or, you know, like being present in people's lives. People need that extra love and support.
Absolutely.
Always, you
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and even if somebody struggles with their mom and they want somebody to go talk to, you know, or has a complicated relationship, I think, because I'm sure some people out there may not have the easiest relationship with their mother. Go ahead.
I want to speak on that.
Yes,
so
of course.
When I was interning for, I'm glad that you said that. I was 19, and I was interning for a social worker when I was volunteering. Anyways, at a school, and it was a low socioeconomic school, and so I was also mentoring. So I was kind of like, you know, learning from this person because I wanted to go into social work. And the lady one of the kids that I was mentoring, I heard her story, and I was like, how could her mother do that to her? Like, and I was so angry, like, because that wasn't what my experience of mothering was.
Right.
And I remember the social worker told me something that I took and will always, especially in my line of work, right? She said, every mother loves the way they know how. Broken people love broken. And I was like, that's oh my gosh, right? Like, and so hurting people hurt people. And so it gave me a forgiveness, like almost like an eternal forgiveness for these people that may not know how to love their little people because they're broken themselves, right? And so in, you know, those broken relationships with parents, that's something that I always remember because I can get super upset when somebody mistreats a kid, right? Like, especially like, that's your mama. Like, why would you say that, something like that to your kid? That's your baby. But I always go back to what she said, that she was like, drug addicts love their, you know, babies the best way that they know how in the circumstances that they're in, Carla. And it was like, pooh, like it hit me right in the head, you know? And I believe that.
Absolutely. Well, and I like that you bring that up because that kind of transitions into something else I wanted to touch on, and that's, and again, I'm not a mom. I don't have children, so, but from conversations that I've had, that moms, it's important for you to take care of yourself. Yeah. I think that moms can, which I mean is completely understandable. You know, everything's about their kids first, family first. You know, all this first, and I've seen and I've witnessed moms deteriorate, and you know what I mean, and not be okay and not be healthy. And I think it's, and as you were saying earlier, in order to take care of other people, you need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Absolutely. And nurturing yourself just as you would nurture your kids. And so kind of going off of that, I wanted to ask, for anyone out there, we touched a little bit on this earlier, who may be wanting to become a mother and who may be feeling like it's not going their way, whether it's fertility issues or it's just hasn't been in their cards yet, what would you say to them, or what advice would you give them, or what encouragement would you provide?
To keep praying and seeking and asking. I don't necessarily have as much advice there as much as I do for the people that are surrounding them.
Yes.
That tend to say the wrong things. And being a mother is not easy. Becoming a mother is not easy. And you need to be sensitive that not everyone just gets pregnant. It's not just something that happens. And to pray for those people that are seeking that. I had a very, very dear friend that I walked through that process with, and she ended up having to have in vitro, and she has passed away since, but she was blessed with 2 children, but it was a very long road for her, and lots of conversations about how much she hurt in her process of waiting and seeking. And she had gotten to a place where she felt like it wasn't going to happen, but she continued to trust the Lord. Also, too, some people, their experience might be that they go the adoption route, or they do both. We had a neighbor that they tried forever, and they finally did in vitro, and then she got pregnant on her own too, like a year later. So it was just, they adopted someone and then adopted a baby and then ended up getting pregnant on their own too. And it's just, there's so many different circumstances, and it's just to be sensitive and just seek God. I think it's with anything. When you're dealing with cancer and you're seeking God for healing, and if you have MS, if you are, whatever you're seeking the Lord for, and just standing and trusting Him and knowing that He has good plans in store for you. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Would you like to add anything on?
No, ditto. That was beautiful.
I love it, and it's so true. Well, I think it goes, and we were even talking about this before too, motherhood is not a vertical path. There's so many. Some people may become a mom young, and some may not be a mom till they're 50, It's, it just depends. And would you like to say something, Carla?
Sometimes we don't have to share our opinions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you can just ask, especially when stuff's like sensitive like that, just asking how they feel about it and just supporting, because I think sometimes we want to make things better even for our friends, and sometimes we just can't. Like, just
There's
that prayer.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can say for a person that wants to be a mom that can't be a mom yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so even just asking them about how they feel, because I mean, there's no words that I could say to make things better.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so, like, I definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and as we get ready to close this evening, one final question I had for the both of you, and I know it'll probably sound pretty broad, but if there's anything you'd like to say, I just wanted to ask, how has motherhood changed you? How has it impacted your life since becoming a mom? I know there's probably a lot of different answers, but if you'd like to share anything on that.
You want to go first?
Let me go first.
Sure.
It is the best job I never knew I wanted. Like, my kids, Rick and I did not talk about having kids. We didn't really talk about any of that. Like, the Lord, like, but it's the best. And I hate to say job, because they're like, surpass any relationship other than, like, my relationship with the Lord and relationship with my husband and my family. Like they just are my people. Like, and I don't even know how to explain the depths of, I was telling them this around the time that I was dealing with, like, having surgery and stuff. I was like, I don't think I can even hardly explain the depths of my love. I was like, you could probably hate me with every fiber of your being, and I'm still gonna love you with every part of mine. Like, and I can't explain that, nor do I like that very much, because to have that ability to, because I'm very, like, fun, everything's great kind of personality, to have somebody have that part of my heart, wow! Like, that's a little much, friends. And I told them that, but I'm okay with it, because God gives me the grace to handle that. So I have to say that it's a depth of love that I couldn't ever describe to anybody. And I'm so grateful, because if that's even a fraction of the love that the Lord has for us, whoa, we have fallen very short of understanding God's love, because honestly, that, like I said, they could hate me with every fiber of their being, and I will love them with every fiber of mine.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Too bad you're stuck with me, you two. two of my three are here tonight. And Eden, I know you're watching, sister. You're stuck with me.
I have changed a lot. I think I've learned so much. So many times we think that the adult is what teaches the child, but it's not. I mean, they teach us so much. And every stage of their life that I've raised so far teaches me something new about myself and about being a mom. And I realized a lot about myself, that I truly love being a mom. And that is probably, I used to kick myself because I didn't do the whole college thing. I stayed at home with my babies, and I'm doing all that now. And it's something I used to, completely be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. But I just wouldn't change it. I finally came to the realization that that is what I was supposed to do. And I love my kids so much, and they are my, best friends. I was best friends with my mom, and I do think that you can be. I tried to tell my kids this too, in reaching out, and this is something that I would say encouraging as a mom too. Know your kids, ask them questions and about who they sit with at lunch, who they are talking with, know who surrounds them, almost more so than caring about every grade that they make, because in the end, those grades, they're gonna affect you, but who they surround themselves with and their character is going to last them. And so you want to really be able to know who they are and who they enjoy being around. And but a true best friend wants the best for you. They will tell you when you're wrong. They'll guide you in the right direction. And so to me, a mom can be best friends with their children, because you wouldn't want any other best friend than someone that's going to be 100% there for you, want the best for you, because the world has a very fake view of what friendship is about, and they spill their guts, and then that person decides they don't like you anymore, and then they go and spill your guts that you just spilled to them with everybody else. And so I encourage you to try to draw as close as you possibly can to your kids. And motherhood is life. I love it. I absolutely do. It's everything. And I miss mine a lot. I miss my mother-in-law a lot when they're not there. So if you're a child watching and you're struggling with your relationship with your mom, I encourage you to take those moments, enjoy your mom, because they're not always here. And when they're gone, even as close as I was with my mom and my mother-in-law, you wish that you could have one more moment and be able to have them ask you another question or teach you another lesson. Don't take for granted your mothers, and mothers, don't take for granted your children. You need each other. You need each other.
Absolutely. Well, these ladies are amazing. I mean,
back at you, sister.
They are. Thank you. Well, and those of you that know them know how amazing they are and how amazing their kiddos are. And I think that's a perfect note to end on this evening. So thank you both so much for joining me, and thank you all for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed this conversation and that it spoke to you in some way. Next week we are going to be having a conversation on fathers and fatherhood with Father's Day coming up. So make sure that you join us next Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. for that. As always, make sure you like us here on Facebook. You can follow us over on Instagram. Stay up to date with what's happening here at Shield of Faith. We are so glad that you joined us once again, and we hope that you all have a very blessed rest of your week. Good night, everyone.
Good night.